Hi everyone. So I'm coming on today to do a VR. Okay. So here's the thing though. I don't even know what VR is. I like what it actually stands for. I'm assuming now this is a virtual response because I even Googled this and all I could get was virtual reality, virtual reality. However, in our little tarot community here on YouTube, I see a bunch of like VR to so and so's video or VR to, uh, so and so's theme or whatever. But I didn't know what VR is because I have not been the greatest builder of social media. I've not been great at this. So I'm a great reader, but as far as like the whole online world goes, I'm technically a millennial, but I feel like I'm a boomer. I really do. I just am not great on social media, but I'm really working hard on trying to fix that, and become better because I do yearn for being a part of this community, like an active participant in this community, not just a reader, but someone that, talks about the decks that they have and things that they collect and how they work them and how they use them. So I have not been doing that, and I've wanted to, but I I'm an introvert and a little bit scared. I've put myself out there. Obviously, if you look, I've made a couple of videos and I've done things, but I've just been like really anxious. I have a lot of anxiety around this. And then not knowing simple things like what VR stands for doesn't help. So, and that happens a lot with me. I see words online that are like slang terms or whatever. I'll like read people in the comments or will mention things, not necessarily in the tarot community, but other comments of other random things that I might watch or look at, and I don't know what these people are talking about. Sometimes I get text messages and I have to like Google what does shaking my head was one. Isn't that funny? So SMH, I had no idea what that meant for a very long time, but it's been a couple years. I know what that means now. So anyway, now that I'm done babbling about abbreviations, online abbreviations that I don't know, let's move into what this whole video is really going to be about, and that is about inner child work. And in particular, it all started a couple years ago. The deck that I'm going to talk about today, which is the one I'm currently using, and I'm really uncovering some things, and I'm excited about it. I have another video that's going to come out right after this one, and it's going to be like the artistic depiction of my interpretation of a certain spread that I did using this deck. So I'm really excited about that. Please watch that video if you're watching this video, please. Okay, so inner child work is going to be, if you've read the title, that's what this is about, and it's a VR. Now that I know what VR is, to Lisa, and also the Libra Intuitive. But it all started really, at least this deck, started with the Truth in Story channel. She did like a 2-part series about this deck a couple years back. And I watched it probably about a year ago, and both parts, and I just fell in love. Like immediately when I saw the artwork, it just took me back to a place in my childhood, and it reminded me of this book. And I couldn't remember what the name of this book was, and I did some research, and I have the book today, and I'm gonna go into that in a minute. But that's like super exciting because And then I read this book to my daughter like 2 days ago, and I had kind of forgotten part of the story, but I remember the talking eggs, and I thought it was her grandmother, but it ended up being like a woman in the woods or whatever. But anyways, I read the book to my daughter, and it made so much sense to me. Like, it made so much sense to me about why I loved this book so much when I was a child and didn't know why. And then, so before we get into this book happens to be based on like Southern Creole culture or folktale. Okay, I'm just gonna read this really quick to you. The Talking Eggs is adapted from a Creole folktale originally included in a collection of Louisiana stories by the folklorist Alice Frontier and published late in the 19th century. So, I have a little tiny connection to New Orleans, to Creole culture, I guess you can say. Not a big one, not a huge one, not like emerged in the culture or anything like that. But my whole journey with Oracle, tarot, and all of that started when, well, it started a little bit before this. The very first introduction was from my mother's best friend's daughter, who I like looked up to as like a big sister. She was into tarot at the time because she was older than me. So she was like a teenager or whatever, and I was like, I don't know, maybe 4th or 5th grade or whatever. So that was my very, very first introduction to tarot. But then my full I guess introduction, like my tarot 101 came from she's passed now, but she was my aunt. She married my mom's brother, oldest brother. So she was my aunt, but she was my aunt by marriage, and she was originally from Louisiana. She called herself a witch, so I mean, this isn't a derogatory term at all for her. This was her practice, and she was very open with me about it. I was a little kid, and I was very interested, and I spent the summers at their home in Louisiana, and this is when I sort of got all this information, so which I'm very grateful for. So anyway, the fact, so that wasn't the only thing that was like, oh, no wonder I was so drawn to that book when I was a little kid, because actually the very first time that I was introduced to this book was probably the 1st or the 2nd grade. I don't remember what grade, but I do remember sitting there in the library during library class or whatever. It was like our special or something, and being read this book and just falling in love with the story, and just really I just love the story so much about the jeweled eggs and all of that. So anyway, for whatever reason, when I watched the Truth in Story ladies, I'm sorry, I don't know her name, please forgive me. I'll probably go back after I make this video and watch your video again and figure out what your actual first name is. So my apologies, this isn't to be rude or anything, but the lady from in the Truth in Story, when she had pulled out this deck and did her little 2-part series, there, like I said, I remembered the book, but I couldn't remember the title. I just was like, there was a grandma that, and there was talking eggs and blah, blah, blah. And that was, these cards, for whatever reason, they just reminded me of that story. And I was like, I have to have that deck. I have to, there was something about that point in my life and that time, that it sparked so much interest. I was like, I have to have that deck. So anyways, I got the deck, and I love it. I don't think I would ever do, and never say never, but I don't think I would ever use this deck at all for my client readings. I just wouldn't. Not right now. I mean, maybe if it was a client that I was working extensively with, like, you know, over a 6-week period to help facilitate some sort of a an understanding or something, possibly. However, in a just general readings or annual, you know, monthly readings or whatever, I just don't think this is a deck that for me personally would be utilized well or even interpreted well for client readings. So this is a personal deck. This is a deck that I am currently doing a major little project, which again, that video will come out after this one, about inner child work. And that's what the whole VR is. I know I babble a lot, which is another reason why I've kind of stayed away from social media. But hey, you either love me or you don't, and that's okay. I'm babbling, and I'll get better as I go. So anyway, this deck I'm currently working on, my inner child work. I'm doing some great healing work, and it's just a beautiful deck. So as I was watching the Truth in Stories channel, and you know, she brought up like and I'm looking for it because my deck is all mixed up. She brought up like there were certain cards that at first she just was not attracted to at all because they didn't make sense. And Merlin was the very first example that she gave. And I can agree. This is why I say, oh, I finally found him. Merlin's right there. And this was the card. I think this was probably the card that really maybe it just spoke to me so deeply. And then I looked him up and like the whole like lore behind Baba Legba, and it's very interesting. But anyways, back to Merlin, because I babble. Merlin, she said it didn't like make sense that he would be the fool, which kind of like I get it from just a general, like at first glance, yeah, like Merlin, you think of Merlin as this wise old teacher, like the archetypal person Merlin is would fit more for like the hermit or maybe even the Hierophant, but not the fool, right? But then if you do some more research into, not saying that she didn't, I'm just saying if you know, explore different, if you explore the archetypal value of the fool is the everything. I mean, he's the beginning, he's the end. There is an essence of the Fool card in every of the major arcana cards. So in that sense, the Fool, or Merlin being the Fool, it makes sense to me. It just makes sense on a way deeper level than the Fool as, you know, just the beginning of a story or the beginning of a situation, or the what's a good word for the naivete. Because Merlin, you know, you don't think of the archetypal figure of Merlin being naive or anything like that. But if you look at it from the sense of this is the everything, the beginning, the end, the core essence of everything in between the beginning and the end, it absolutely makes sense. And then if you apply that to childhood trauma, if that is something that you're working on, and me personally, that is something that I am working on currently in my inner child shadow work. So it makes perfect sense, and which is why I love this deck. And I just saw that this deck has a little, or this card has a little line in it, and I don't know how that happened. That makes me sad. Anyway, moving on. So my review, this whole this video is going to be about my the best decks for inner child work. That's the VR to everyone. That's what it's supposed to be about. And forgive me, I'm new. I'm just trying to figure out, I mean, I'm new to social media, trying to really make it work. I've tried a couple times and then left my channel hanging for a year or two, and then I did it again. And this time I actually left the videos up, but I just stopped posting videos. So there's videos from like a year ago, and then I'm just leaving them up. It doesn't matter. But I'm trying. I'm moving on. So anyway, this is my favorite deck so far. I intentionally purchased this deck to do inner child work. Didn't know if it would be good or not for clients, but then once I've got it and worked with it, it's just not, it's just not appropriate for me, for my practice with my clients. I just don't, but it's probably going to be my most beloved inner child working or inner child healing, that kind of stuff deck. But we'll see, because I have a plan for next month too, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. So this deck is the Crystalist Tarot deck. Oh, and I should have grabbed, let me grab it real quick here. The book, the big book, it comes with this little book inside of the little box here, and then you have to purchase this one separate. I don't know if there was a collection like where it all comes together, but I'm gonna say not, because I would have purchased all of it in one little packet if it came, but I know that I had to purchase them separately, and I did that. So anyway, moving on. So now, because of the whole connection with this book, and I don't 100% understand yet why that particular deck, because this isn't a New Orleans deck or anything like that. It was just the artwork that sparked something in me that reminded me of this book. But when you look at this book, not that you're going to, because it's a child's book, whatever, but the artwork is not really like the deck. So I don't really understand, but I'm, doing some research on the subconscious, and there is some links there that I don't want to get into on this channel as of yet, but it makes sense to me, but it's not 100% why so much this book or this deck had sparked something in my subconscious to make me remember this book, because I literally went years and years of my whole life not ever thinking about this book until I saw this deck again, and then I remembered, oh my god, that book I loved when I was a kid about the eggs with the jewels on them. So anyway, I paired this oracle deck, the New Orleans oracle deck, to work with, and this is just for right now, just what I'm doing right now in my life, to work with the Crystalist deck. And I mean, the artwork here now, it's very, very similar, and it's very beautiful. Well, it has sort of the butterfly, but it's a fleur-de-lis. I mean, it's very, I understand very much why I chose these two, and then the fact that it's New Orleans, and then the book, it all is like very synchronistic, okay? But so this is just me basically saying this is what I'm currently using right now, is the New Orleans Oracle, and these are all in order right now, and I don't really want to take them out of order because I'm going to be posting a little flip through of these, but I mean, they are beautiful. Oh my god, that is so pretty. So beautiful. Oh, that's probably my favorite one. I love that. So this is just a really great pairing if you're looking for, if you have any kind of similarity, if this little story of mine resonates with you at all, I think these two just go together so beautifully. Now, for me personally, there's a whole synchronistic thing behind it with Louisiana, spending my summers there. This book, just the whole thing, it all sort of, you know, goes together for me and my childhood. And there was, again, I don't want to go all into that yet, or maybe ever on this channel, but there was a significant traumatic event that happened right before I started spending my summers there in Louisiana. So it makes sense to me. It does make sense to me in a synchronistic way, or in a synchronistic way of why my subconscious, you know, clicked when I saw these cards and this, but not 100%, not in a way that I could articulate it to someone who didn't know my personal experience, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that was my favorite. Moving on though to the next one. Now this is my plan for next month, is to work with this deck. Now, I kind of have a little problem. I will pre-order decks and they will sit on my beautiful bookshelf, or, you know, in the corner over there or whatever. And I will open them right away because I'm so excited, but then I don't actually end up working with them until something sparks interest or something. So anyway, I started with the Crystalist Tarot doing the, I don't want to give it away because it's going to be the very next video after this, but it is the artistic interpretation of a reading, I guess you can say, without giving away too much details, because I'm really excited about this. But I am going to start next month working with, so the month of May 2022, with this deck and my inner child work, and I'm going to do a similar project to the one that you will see in the video that comes out after this one. Okay, so please go watch it. If you're new here, well, obviously you're new here because I have, as of today, 2 subscribers, because I've never really, you know, tried to put myself out there. I've thought about it, but I never really wanted or needed to manifest myself online in any way. I don't know. I'll go into that maybe in another another date. It has to do with, you know, insecurity and yeah, just putting yourself out there. Like, even though I only have 2 subscribers, the potential of like the entire world seeing this is there. When you put something out there on the internet, that's it. Like, anyone can see it. So that gives me anxiety sometimes, not gonna lie. So anyway, this deck is one of those decks that I pre-ordered and left, and case in point, I have a problem. At least this one I didn't open. This one is the Villains deck, and I still haven't opened it yet because I wanted to do an unboxing, but again, I pre-ordered this. I've had this for months now. I think it came out in December or maybe November of last year, something like that. I don't know. I got it when it came out. Might even have been October, but it's been that long, and I still have not messed with it. But I did open this one and I did flash through it because I also bought the book that comes separate. Now, for this one, for sure, I know it's separate. This book is absolutely separate. When you purchase this, I did not see any combination online at all that you could buy them together. They come separately. This little book, which is colorful, which is cool, it comes in the box. But this book, I've already delved into it so many times. It's so beautiful. I was working overnights for a while. I'm a mental health I don't want to say that. I work in mental health At times. I'm not currently, and I don't know that I am going to continue to pursue that because I have some objections to the way the system is ran, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So anyway, I, at times when I had some downtime when I was working overnights, because I was doing 12-hour shifts, 12 to 14-hour shifts, I brought this book to work with me, and I would read a couple of the little stories, and I just love this. This is so perfect, and this was mentioned on the reason why this is a VR to the Libra Intuitive is because I watched her video on the inner child like healing or something like that. I'm sorry, I wrote down her name so I would at least know the channel's name, but I should have wrote down what actual video it was. So I'm sorry, but there will be a link in the description. But this was one of the decks that she had chosen as well for inner child work, and this is after completing the project that I have been doing with the Crystalist Tarot. I decided I absolutely have to do one for this deck. So I'm really excited. So next month I'm going to switch from the New Orleans and the Crystalist to the I want to say Beneath the Moon, but it's Tarot of the Divine. The book is called Beneath the Moon. That's why I wanted to call it that. And I'm thinking I'm going to be using the Oracle of Mystical Moments. Now I know there is a tarot deck that goes with this, but I don't think I own it. I need to check because I do have over 100 decks, so I could own it, but I don't think I do. But I thought it would just be the best pairing. Let me show you a couple of the cards. I feel like these cards are going to bring clarity because even the pictures are so crisp and clear. And I know you might be thinking, well, how, just because the images are crisp and clear, how does that bring clarity? It's more like the symbology that brings clarity. But there is an artistic, there is a psychological reason behind, or a theory, I should say, a psychological theory behind certain types of art and how they're presented and how they're created, which is really interesting. And anybody who's an art therapist out there, hey, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I am not educated enough in that genre to be able to articulate it, but there is an artistic, you can say hi. This is my daughter Gaia. Say hi.
Hi.
She's home today sick because she's coughing. She has a cough. And you know how it is nowadays. Can't go to school with a runny nose or a cough, or you. Yeah. They'll send in the hazmat suits. No, anyways. Okay, go play, honey. Let mommy finish her video. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Crisp, clear images. I just have this like intuitive feeling, and there is sort of a psychological theory behind it. About bringing clarity, like, so something and crisp and clear.
And this is my
baby. Okay.
We bought her from the store.
Okay.
and she turns on when you take off her binky.
Okay, honey.
This is her little tiny binky that she wears on.
That's lovely. Please let mommy finish doing this. Okay, so back to what I was saying, and I kind of lost my train of thought. Crisp, clear images bringing clarity. This is an intuitive feeling that I have about this, that this is going to bring some clarity to maybe some of like the questions or some of the spreads that I might have with this deck, which, I mean, these are crisp, clear images too, but I don't know. I have this feeling. And so I'm going to go with it, and we're going to see what happens. But that is the plan. So next month's plan, and artistic interpretation will be based on these 2 decks as opposed to the other 2 that I've been working on and already have a completed project, which I'm so excited about. So anyway, I just wanted to jump on and let y'all know that I am what I'm working on and what my intentions are, you know, with this channel and with life in general. My life as it is, as it relates to tarot and the mystical world, which I tend to live my life in a very mystical way. The tarot and just divination in general is just part of my daily life. It's part of my it's part of who I am. It's part of how I raise my child. It's part of how I am a wife to my husband. It's just, it's in every aspect of my life. And so I'm going off on a tangent now. So let me reel it back in. Childhood trauma and childhood work. Now, inner childhood work doesn't always have to be based on trauma. You know, for me and this particular deck and this particular project that I have been working on, it is about inner child work and the traumatic portion of that. But that's just for me. Not everyone has to do a traumatic healing. You know, not everyone has experienced, thank goodness, a trauma, but most of us have, unfortunately. So inner childhood work means a lot. It doesn't just mean trauma. There's things or patterns of behavior that we learned that don't necessarily come from trauma at all. It's just by watching the adults, that, you know, what they were doing and what they were saying. Now that can turn into or manifest itself in a way that was perceived as trauma or you know, along those lines, but not everything is. So I don't want to make it, I don't want to be Debbie Downer here and make this about, you know, it has to be traumatic or uncomfortable, because it doesn't have to be. And what I've learned through this project, which I really need to stop talking about because this is information I need to give you in the next video, but what I've learned is that sometimes things that were uncomfortable or not nice or come back, we're actually, like, if you can look at them this way, and not everyone should, based on, you know, the whatever might have happened or whatever the experience was, but some things are, you know, anyway, I don't know how, I'm probably gonna edit all of that. As I was saying, this has been my deck for the month of April. These has been my oracle deck for the month of April, and I just had to run out and buy this little book on Amazon. It was only like $1.39, and I was so happy that I did find it. And yeah, more information about that will be in the next video, because I will be discussing the project that I created based on all three of these materials, so the book and the 2 decks. And look forward to the month of April. It's going to be it's going to be these 2, and I'm really, really excited because I've already, like I said, I've already fell in love with this book. So thank you so much for watching. Sorry about the babbling. I just have a lot of anxiety, and I'm working on getting over that. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.